continue our road trip in this Honghe Prefecture special series in southern Yunnan. Having covered Jianshui and Shiping, now it's onwards and forwards towards Honghe County in this episode of Travelogue.
Well, what do you know? We were just in the car, and what are the odds of chancing upon a local wedding celebration? The bride's over there. I can't figure out if there are two brides or if one is a bridesmaid, but they seem to have lots of gifts and their bed sheets and bed quilts, and they're there receiving the guests. There's a bit of hustle bustle going on.
After having our routine round of hearty bowl of rice noodles for breakfast, we came upon a wedding celebration tucked on the side of the mountain en route to Honghe County. I poked my nose and chatted with the lovebirds about their special day.
The brides are twins. They're having a double wedding. 他们两个一起，那他们的丈夫是不是双胞也是？不是，他们是什么族的人？
他是泰族。
泰族，哦，是这边的人。
对。
哦，那恭喜你们了，恭喜你们了。谢谢你，我不生气。
Looks like the village has come out in drones for the celebration. The brides are from the Thai ethnic minority, and they are closely related to the Thai people. In China, the majority of them live in Sichuan Bana and Dehong, Dai and Jingguo autonomous prefecture. This wedding is slightly westernized, as the twins were dolled up in chiffon white wedding gowns, while some of the guests wore more traditional outfits. It's normal for Thais to marry within their social and economic status, and most times it is the groom who heads back to the bride's home.
傣族，就是这边的傣族。那你们全部都是傣族。为什么要两个一样？就这么巧，就是你们都两个一样时间拍拖，还是怎么样去安排的这件事？因为我们是双胞胎。对啊，可是怎么安排的这么对？就他也是跟他对象，就
这个我也不好说。
这有缘分嘛？就是缘分。Wow, it's real fate and destiny that they both getting married on the same day. 太棒了！好，真的恭喜你们。
Thai cuisine includes rice as the staple, and sticky rice is their speciality. Hot and sour flavors characterize their food, but I find their people even warmer. The bride's mother was egging me on to stay.
那你今天应该是非常高兴的，对吧？是了。Look at her, she can't stop smiling. She's beaming from ear to ear. 那真的是恭喜你。我们放乐器，多放乐器，重来，多放乐器。好，我们要走了。It's awesome. 多放乐器，不像忙啊。Wow, the men are all preparing the food. It's amazing. Never seen such a big bowl of chicken soup, and it smells fantastic. I hate to go now, but all right, let's hurry along the road. Come on.
Back on the long and winding road we go. Honghe County lies just south of Shiping, and it'll be another 2.5 hours before we get there. The roads here are generally well paved for the most part. It's scenic. Honghe is known as the overseas Chinese county. These traders have left their hometown to make their fortunes abroad, and now they're back with a sweet smell of their monies to rebuild this county.
Oh, it seems like our fortunes have really reversed. I mean, ever since we've bumped into that Thai twins double blessing wedding, it seems like the sun had agreed with us and smiled at us for once. It's pretty good because we just dropped off our bags at our accommodation at Honghe, and now we are going straight towards Jiaying village, and we want to catch the honey villagers who are probably just going to be passing their day. There are rice terrace fields there, so I can't wait to see what that's like. I know it's not as famous as the one in Yuanyang, but it should be beautiful as well. And now, with the weather smiling at us for once, I think it should be a good sign.
The honey rice terrace fields are tucked in a dramatic landscape and lush green vegetation. Part of our mission on this long road trip to Hong Kong is to capture one of the world's most spectacular agricultural heritage sites. The most distinct feature of the honey rice terrace fields here are the cherry and palm trees. The honey people have been sculpting the barren valleys into a haven for rice crops. Through blood, sweat and tears, they have transformed a rather plain mountain landscape into an ecologically and culturally rich one. The earliest recordings of the honey people goes back a long way to the 3rd century BC. It's believed that a tribal people called Hayes were the possible ancestors of the honeys today. In Honghe, Hanyi and Yi Autonomous Prefecture, there are about 500,000 honeys, and Jiaying village houses the largest number of them in China. These precious moments are hard to capture as the clouds drift in all too quickly. But when the sun hits the rice paddy fields at an angle that provides an unmatched iridescent glow, something magical begins. Tasa village here is a 10-minute drive from Jiaying, and this is the famous 12龙泉, which literally means 12 dragon fountains. Community spirit is the way to go here, as most of the areas are largely underdeveloped. You have to count on your neighbors. The village receives very little visitors, so as to retain great biodiversity. None of the suffocating in-your-face party. Here, you can just sit back and observe, or step in and join their ethnic rhythms and strides. You cannot help but be touched by the simplicity of their lives here and the purity of their hearts. This fatigue is something us city folks cannot even start to fathom. Amazingly enough, they still find time to express their joy through singing and dancing. After Jiaying village and the unique charms of Tasa, we're heading to a nearby and lesser-known one called Zuofu. This is one of the better preserved villages in Honghe County, and it's the epitome of rural charm.
This is Zuofu village in Honghe County, and it's one of the earliest honey village here in Yunnan. Now, look at that amazing mud roofs mud walls and thatch roofs. And in China, they call this a mushroom home. Kind of looks like that, doesn't it? And what's amazing is for 58 generations, they really kept to this way of life, and they just preserved their culture. Just look at this little lane going up there.
The mountain slopes here are dotted with 2 to 3 story houses. The honey people's abode includes a sturdy wooden pillar placed on mud brick foundations. This is one of the few places where you can see these mushroom houses intact in their full rural glory.
They look completely Thai.
Life is simple here. Villagers live with their doors wide open, and you can just politely walk in and hang out with them. Here, the neighborly spirit is well and truly alive. It's a place where people don't live with fear and padlocks. And their friends are not just the two-legged kind. Livestock roam freely just beneath their wooden floors. There aren't any hostels, so we have to turn back before nightfall. Ahead of us is 37 kilometers of mountain roads, which will probably take another 2 hours in the dark before we reach Honghe town. It's time to say goodbye to the villages, but not without some hiccups along the way.
Okay, the men are trying to solve the problem and we're stuck. That's our problem. We're trying to get up, but this truck is busy unloading some of their goods. So what we're trying to do is literally trying to lay down bricks so that we can charge up. Oh, that's a brilliant idea. Let's see if it works. So we finally got ourselves out of that tight spot. I'm feeling kind of dizzy and tired right now, but you know, it was all worth it because the honey people were so surprising. They wore their ethnic outfits still to this day, and that was a treat to see them. But this is not. See, my director decided to set up this little challenge for me to break into the local culture, and he wants me to sample either one of these 3 bugs. So there's a silkworm. No, this is the bamboo worm. That's a wasp, and these are crickets. Okay, so I'll go for this one's cricket. Okay. Close my eyes. It's actually not bad. Look at this fella. Oh God, he's mean. Jesus, man. Okay, I can't see this. Okay. So. Hey, it's just fried. It tastes really fried.
On this episode of Travelogue, come along on a road trip around southern Yunnan's Honghe Prefecture and experience the ethnic minorities' culture and lifestyle. Visit amazing mushroom houses that's been kept for 58 generations and see how the Yiche branch of the Hani ethnic minority live. It's time for celebrations as we dance to the tune of thumping beats. Yesterday was a total cultural bonanza for us. We visited 2 Hani villages. One was the biggest and the other was the oldest. But the best part was engaging in a spirited exchange with the Hani ethnic minority. This part of southern Yunnan undoubtedly boasts a rich ecosystem and biodiversity. Here, nature lovers can gather a breath of fresh air, and since we've been driving around the mountain for ages, this was a welcome change for our creaking bones. The majestic paddy fields are stunningly beautiful, tucked in this rural landscape. If you're planning a trip to Honghe Prefecture, the best thing to do is to get a ride. Our car and driver will set you back about 1,500 RMB per day. Familiarity is of the utmost importance with the road conditions that require the occasional squeeze on the path.
So we're heading up towards Dayangji, and it takes us about 1 hour to get through to 30 kilometers of road. Of course, it's mountainous and it's curvy, and you know that. But we decided to step out to check out the view. I mean, this is really romantic. It's just clouds clinging onto these mountains, and just seems like it came out from a little storybook. Although it doesn't quite feel this way, but it's pretty something.
Dayangji is situated on a slightly higher altitude, and locals call this place the village above the clouds. For that reason, some have labeled this as one of the most beautiful villages in China. We continue our slow ascent up and drove past fogs that obscured our vision. This is one of the main reasons why we have to be cautious. Mountain roads like these are frequently affected by passing wind and cloud cover. This is the home of the Icha branch of the Hani ethnic minority. About 75% of them live here, so it's a place you can't miss, even though we had to backtrack 65 kilometers west of Honghe town. There are 20 branches in the Hani ethnic minority with distinct habits and outfits. Locals say that the Icha's outfits are the sexiest among all the Hanis. Their clothing modernized along with the rest of China, but you can catch them adorned in their traditional outfits during special occasions. Fortune smiled at us, and a group of amateur photographers were in town. The Hani women decked out for the cameras in their traditional homespun cotton jackets and shorts. Legend has it that their male ancestors had to run from danger, and their clothes were tattered by branches and twigs. Their white hat tells a tale of clever camouflage. Their ancestors would hide from the enemies behind white flowers in this headgear. As a fitting tribute, they wear this traditional outfit to honor their past. The moment you arrive in this village, the resilient and sustainable ways of the people hits you. Their way of living has remained rooted in agriculture. Obviously, the women wear their shorts according to seasons, and not to mention when there are cameras in full flash. After rice planting season on the 3rd month of the lunar calendar in April, locals would celebrate. That's when you can capture the authenticity of their festive spirit as they wear their traditional outfit. This village possesses a warm and inviting spirit, and any tourism dollars trickling in will help them. Though they are remotely located, mention Dayang to a driver here in Honghe County, and that will do the trick. Making the rains go away proved harder, but with a sunny disposition and hope, we crossed our fingers and headed out for an authentic feast of Hani cuisine. Great hospitality was the order of the day. Here, locals made sure that every glass was full. Visitors were treated with the utmost warmth, and we were even promised sunshine. Surprisingly enough, they delivered on their word.
Anytime any guests would come, they'll come around and cheers, and you can't escape it. You'll have to drink their local made rice wine, and not too bad. It's very smooth, it's very fresh. I almost choked on that drink.
Trust the sun god to be happy with the drinking and singing. The Hanis, known for their talents in this department, are working their own brand of magic. Rice literally runs through these Hani people's veins. It's this staple that feeds them and creates an industry of work. After food, we were treated to some ground-thumping moves. Drum beats are often associated as a primal sound of music, and this lured the dancers into a hypnotic formation. Their choreography juxtaposed the outfits they wore. The femininity in their moves was exchanged with strong, clean lines. Be it the trance of their jingling ornaments or fancy footwork, the children and us found it an absolute delight. The Icha have a special reverence for the land they walk and work on, worshipping the forces of nature, earth, sky, forest, and cliff, as they understand they're intrinsically part of a force greater than themselves. Dances, prayers, and offerings are ways to express their gratitude from the harvest they reap. Their thoughtfulness helped me connect to a sense of appreciation for the world, and it's been truly humbling. We hate to say goodbye to Dayang-jie, a unique place mysteriously situated on a higher altitude, but since it was pouring when we first got here, the view was well hidden from sight. Rolling white cotton clouds and mountain mist swirled into action when the skies parted, and for that brief moment it seemed as though we'd descended from the heavens. I recall the Icha dance fondly and feel their moves must be somewhat connected to their celestial-like land.
You know what this feels like? This feels like God had put these major dry ice in the middle of the mountain, and these dry ice are there to make this grand entrance for a very special VIP who's going to walk through the stage. I mean, this is the Garden of Eden. Wow. Gosh. That's clouds just coming in from there. And they're just blowing in and just enveloping this whole dramatic landscape. It feels like something is going to happen, kind of like a movie set of a Harry Potter movie. Hallelujah. Can I just sing? Hallelujah. I feel the power.
Covered Jianshui, Shiping, and Honghe counties, and our remaining trip will take us to the rest of Honghe Prefecture. That means more twists and turns as we hit the asphalt roads. Hooray for me! As more than 75% of Honghe's terrain is mountainous, we took a good 2.5 hours to drive through the wet and then dry roads back into Isa town. Known as the home of overseas Chinese in Honghe County, locals back then left with one foot in China and the other abroad, where they steadily built their wealth. Clearly, they have brought their fortunes back home.
Long time ago, local merchants left to Southeast Asia on horses, and they were trading, and they made lots of money, made a pile, and they came back and built something like this, which has a bit of Southeast Asian flavor. Really nice. You know, Honghe County has been so interesting. It's got such a fascinating mix of authentic honey culture, and really it's not a place that comes to mind for travelers, which is a pity, but now the secret is out. And our next stop is going to be Yuanyang, and I've got high expectations for that place.